When it comes to building and protecting muscle, most people only focus on what they're eating during the day or how hard they're training in the gym. But what you consume before bed can make or break your progress. The wrong nighttime choice can actually block muscle repair, disrupt your sleep cycles, and over time contribute to muscle loss. In today's video, based on the research and insights shared by Dr. Andrew Huberman, we'll look at the science behind how certain evening habits and foods can sabotage your results, and what you should be doing instead to make sure your muscles don't disappear while you sleep. When we talk about building muscle, most people think about the exercises they're doing in the gym, the protein shakes they drink after their workout, and the total calories they consume in a day. All of these factors matter, but there's one detail that often gets overlooked: the timing and type of food you eat before you go to sleep. What you choose to consume in those last few hours of the evening has a huge influence on how your body recovers, how your hormones function, and how your muscles repair themselves during the night. One of the most powerful hormones involved in this process is growth hormone. Growth hormone is released in pulses, and the largest and most important pulse happens in the first few hours of deep sleep. This is not just some small spike, it is the body's way of signaling tissues to repair, regenerate, and build. For anyone interested in maintaining or growing muscle, that release of growth hormone is absolutely critical. It helps stimulate protein synthesis, fat breakdown, and cellular repair. But here's where the problem begins. The kinds of foods people often eat late at night, especially sugary snacks, desserts, processed junk, or heavy greasy meals, can interfere with that growth hormone release. The mechanism behind this disruption is tied to insulin. When you eat something sugary or high in refined carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises quickly, and in response, your body produces insulin. Insulin itself is not bad, in fact, it's essential for shuttling nutrients into cells. However, high insulin levels at night blunt the release of growth hormone. Essentially, when insulin is elevated, growth hormone cannot peak in the way it normally should during the first stage of sleep. So instead of getting that powerful wave of recovery signaling, your body is in more of a nutrient storage mode. For someone trying to build muscle, this is a huge missed opportunity. You could be lifting hard, eating enough protein, and doing everything else right. But if your nightly habits are blocking growth hormone release, your results will be slower, your muscles sorer, and your energy levels lower. Now, think about the average evening routine many people follow. After dinner, maybe a few hours later, there's often a craving for something sweet, a piece of cake, a bowl of ice cream, some cookies, or even just a soda or sweetened tea. All of these choices spike blood sugar and insulin. For some, it's not sugar but heavy, greasy food that comes late at night: fried chicken, pizza, or leftovers from earlier. These meals are not only hard to digest, but they also come with a high fat and carb load that keeps insulin levels elevated for hours. Even if you fall asleep, the internal chemistry of your body is not aligned with optimal repair. Instead of prioritizing muscle rebuilding, your body is busy digesting food and storing nutrients. Another layer to this is how growth hormone interacts with other hormones, particularly cortisol and testosterone. Cortisol, the stress hormone, naturally declines in the evening to allow sleep to set in. But when you consume a large sugary or processed meal at night, your body experiences fluctuations in blood sugar. When blood sugar drops later on, cortisol rises to bring it back up. This creates a hormonal tug-of-war that is the exact opposite of the calm, recovery, promoting environment your body needs during the night. Meanwhile, testosterone, another crucial hormone for muscle growth and repair, relies on deep sleep quality, and consistent growth hormone pulses to function at its best. By disturbing one, you indirectly disturb the other. The result: less muscle repair, slower strength gains, and potentially even muscle breakdown over time. it's also important to realize that growth hormone is not just about muscles. It plays a role in fat metabolism, joint repair, collagen production, and even brain function. Missing out on strong growth hormone pulses night after night doesn't just slow muscle recovery, it affects overall health, aging, and vitality. This is why people who regularly snack on sugary foods late at night often feel sluggish in the morning, recover more slowly from workouts, and notice gradual fat gain despite their efforts in the gym. Their sleep cycles and hormonal rhythms are misaligned. To put it into perspective, imagine two individuals. One finishes their last balanced meal of protein, healthy fats, and complex carbs about 3 hours before bed, giving the body time to digest and allowing insulin levels to return to baseline. When they fall asleep, their growth hormone pulses naturally, repairing muscle tissue, breaking down fat, and enhancing recovery. The other person eats a large dessert right before bed, maybe a slice of cake or a bowl of sugary cereal. They fall asleep, but because their insulin is elevated, the growth hormone pulse is suppressed. Their body spends those first hours digesting and storing instead of repairing. Both may wake up the next day, but one feels rested, recovers faster, and is primed to build muscle, while the other feels heavy, sore, and less motivated. What's striking is how consistent this effect is. Scientific studies, including those often highlighted by Andrew Huberman, show that insulin and growth hormone are almost like opposite levers. When one is high, the other is low. You cannot maximize growth hormone release when your insulin is elevated, and for most people, insulin is elevated after a sugary or heavy meal. This doesn't mean you should never eat carbs at night, in fact. Moderate complex carbs can support serotonin and melatonin in production, helping with sleep. The key is moderation and timing. A small, balanced meal 2 to 3 hours before bed with protein and complex carbs like oats, sweet potato, or quinoa can actually help support sleep without spiking insulin in the way a candy bar or soda would. Another point to consider is the long-term impact. Missing out on optimal growth hormone release once in a while won't destroy your progress, but making it a nightly habit absolutely will. Muscle is not just about aesthetics, it's one of the strongest predictors of healthy aging, mobility, and metabolic health. By undermining growth hormone release consistently, you're not only sabotaging your gains today, but also compromising your health decades down the line. In a way, every choice you make before bed is either an investment in your muscle and recovery or a withdrawal from it. So the takeaway is simple but powerful. If you want to maximize growth hormone release, avoid sugary snacks, alcohol, and heavy greasy meals before bed. Give your body a window to digest dinner, let insulin come down, and then allow the natural rhythm of growth hormone pulses to do their work. It's not just about looking better or recovering faster, it's about aligning your body's internal chemistry with the natural design that supports muscle, strength, and overall health. When people talk about sleep, they often focus on the total number of hours they get, as if 7 or 8 hours is all that matters. But the reality is, not all sleep is created equal. The true benefits of sleep for muscle growth, recovery, and overall health come not just from the quantity, but from the quality and structure of that sleep, what scientists call sleep architecture. Sleep is divided into distinct stages, each with its own function, and what you eat before bed can profoundly affect how well your body moves through these cycles. If you disrupt the process, your body doesn't get the chance to fully repair muscle tissue, restore energy, and balance the hormones that protect your muscle from breaking down. The stages of sleep are roughly divided into light sleep, deep slow, wave sleep, and REM sleep. Deep sleep, especially in the first half of the night, is when the most significant physical repair happens. This is the stage where growth hormone is secreted in powerful pulses, where your muscles are repaired from the microtears of training, and where your nervous system resets from the stress of the day. REM sleep, which is more concentrated in the second half of the night, is vital for brain health, memory, and emotional regulation. Both stages are essential, but if your body is blocked from entering them fully, you lose out on their benefits. So how does late night eating interfere with this? The answer comes down to digestion. When you eat a large, heavy, or greasy meal before bed, your body doesn't simply switch to sleep mode. Instead, it has to work hard to break down the food, release digestive enzymes, and manage the influx of nutrients. Digestion is an active process that demands energy and attention from your body, and while it's working on that, it's harder for the brain and body to fully transition into restorative sleep. The result is shallower, more fragmented rest. You might technically sleep for 7 or 8 hours, but the percentage of that time spent in deep, slow wave sleep is significantly lower. That means less growth hormone, less repair, and less recovery. Spicy foods add another challenge. They can trigger acid reflux or indigestion when you lie down, especially if you're eating late and going straight to bed. That discomfort might not always wake you fully, but it causes awakenings, tiny disruptions in your sleep cycles that reduce the amount of time you spend in deep sleep. Even small disruptions fragment sleep enough to reduce its restorative power. You wake up in the morning feeling groggy, heavy, or unrefreshed, even though you technically slept through the night. Athletes and bodybuilders often notice this more because their bodies require a higher degree of recovery, but it applies to anyone who values energy, focus, and physical performance. Another overlooked aspect is that the digestive process itself can alter your core body temperature. To get high-quality sleep, your body needs to lower its temperature slightly. This cooling is part of what allows the brain to enter deeper sleep states, but digestion, especially of a large or fatty meal, raises your core temperature instead. That extra heat makes it harder to fall into and maintain slow wave sleep. Think of it as your body being pulled in two directions, one system trying to cool down for sleep, another working hard to digest and metabolize food. The result is a compromise where neither process functions optimally. The consequences of this are not just about feeling a little tired the next day. If deep sleep is consistently compromised, your body produces less growth hormone and less testosterone. These two hormones are the foundation of muscle repair and preservation. Without enough of them, you lose the anabolic environment that protects your muscles from breakdown. Over weeks and months, this translates to slower muscle gain, easier fat storage, and an increased risk of muscle loss, especially in older adults who already experience natural declines in these hormones. In other words, late night eating doesn't just affect tonight's sleep. It builds into a long-term pattern that undermines your progress. On the flip side, when you avoid heavy late-night meals, your body is free to prioritize sleep architecture. Instead of shuttling resources to the digestive system, it allows the brain to cycle naturally into slow wave sleep. Growth hormone pulses strongly, protein synthesis ramps up, and muscle fibers repair themselves from the microscopic damage caused by training. Your nervous system calms, reducing stress hormones like cortisol, and your immune system strengthens. This is what optimal recovery looks like, and it is the hidden reason why some people seem to progress faster in their training, even if their workouts are similar. They are getting more from their nights, not just their days. One way to illustrate this is with the example of athletes who track their sleep using modern technology like Oura rings or sleep monitoring devices. These tools can show exactly how much deep sleep and REM sleep someone gets. When these athletes eat heavy or late dinners, Their data often reveals reduced deep sleep percentages and elevated resting heart rates overnight, both markers of poor recovery. When they eat earlier and lighter, deep sleep rebounds, heart rate lowers, and they wake up feeling more energized. This isn't just theory, it's visible in measurable outcomes. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean you should go to bed hungry. Going to bed with an empty stomach can also disrupt sleep, as hunger can keep you alert. The key is balance. A light, easily digestible meal a few hours before bedtime is ideal. For example, a small portion of lean protein with some complex carbs like chicken with vegetables and a little quinoa provides nutrients without overloading digestion. This kind of meal supports the production of serotonin and melatonin, two compounds essential for falling asleep, without spiking insulin excessively or raising body temperature too much. The result is easier sleep onset and more consistent progression into deep sleep cycles. Another thing to consider is that sleep architecture is sensitive not only to what you eat, but also to when you eat. Your body follows circadian rhythms, internal clocks that regulate hormones, digestion, and energy. Eating very late at night confuses these rhythms, signaling to your body that it should still be active and awake. The digestive system stays alert when it should be winding down, and melatonin release, which sets the stage for sleep, can be delayed. This mismatch further reduces sleep quality, so even if the food itself isn't particularly heavy, the late timing can still disrupt the architecture of sleep. The cumulative effect of disrupted sleep architecture is what matters most. One night of late eating may not ruin your muscle building efforts, but repeated nights do. Imagine trying to repair a house each night, but only having half the workers show up because the rest are stuck in traffic. The repairs take longer and the damage accumulates. That's what happens in your body when deep sleep is consistently reduced. Your recovery backlog grows, performance suffers, and progress stalls. In practical terms, the advice is simple. Give yourself at least 2 to 3 hours between your last substantial meal and bedtime. Avoid heavy, greasy, or spicy foods in the evening. If you need something, choose a light, balanced snack like Greek yogurt with berries or a small banana with nut butter, foods that won't overwhelm digestion but can support sleep onset. This approach aligns your digestive system with your sleep cycles instead of putting them in conflict. When you respect your sleep architecture in this way, you unlock one of the most powerful tools for muscle growth and preservation. You not only protect your muscles from disappearing, but also give yourself the energy, focus, and resilience to perform better every day. Sleep becomes more than rest, it becomes the foundation of your progress. Most people know that caffeine keeps them awake and that alcohol can make them feel sleepy. But what often gets missed is the deeper way these substances, along with sugar, interfere with the brain and body chemistry that is supposed to protect muscle and optimize recovery overnight. The truth is that what you put into your body in the hours before bed doesn't just affect how quickly you fall asleep. It fundamentally changes the hormones that regulate growth, repair, and even fat storage. If you're serious about maintaining or building muscle, understanding how stimulants and disruptive compounds affect nighttime biology is just as important as choosing the right workout program or hitting your protein targets. Caffeine is one of the most widely used stimulants in the world, and it works by blocking adenosine, a neurotransmitter that builds up during the day to create what scientists call sleep pressure. When adenosine binds to its receptors, your brain begins to feel heavy and ready for rest. Caffeine steps in and hijacks those receptors, keeping you feeling alert even when your body is ready to wind down. Many people think that drinking coffee in the afternoon is harmless because they don't feel wired at bedtime, but caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 6 hours. That means if you drink coffee at 4:00 p.m. Half of it may still be active in your system by 10:00 p.m. Even if you fall asleep, the caffeine blocks adenosine in the background, leading to lighter, more fragmented rest. This reduction in deep sleep means less growth hormone release, less muscle repair, and slower recovery. You might not notice it right away, but over time, those small disruptions add up to a noticeable difference in muscle maintenance and energy. Alcohol, on the other hand, tricks people because it initially feels like a sleep aid. It relaxes you, lowers inhibitions, and can make falling asleep seem easier. But alcohol does not promote real sleep, it sedates the brain. The difference is critical. Sedation is not the same as the natural progression into deep and REM sleep. In fact, alcohol severely reduces the amount of REM sleep you get, which is essential for cognitive recovery, emotional balance, and indirectly, hormone regulation. People who drink alcohol before bed often wake up in the middle of the night as the sedative effects wear off, leading to restlessness and shallow sleep cycles. At the hormonal level, alcohol increases cortisol, the stress hormone, while decreasing testosterone. For muscle preservation and growth, that combination is devastating. Testosterone drives protein synthesis, while cortisol in excess promotes muscle breakdown. Drinking before bed shifts the balance in favor of muscle loss. Even if you train hard, the benefits are muted because your hormonal environment is compromised during the very hours your body should be repairing itself. Sugar, though less obviously stimulating, also disrupts nighttime biology in powerful ways. When you eat something high in sugar before bed, candy, ice cream, soda, or even a sweetened tea, your blood sugar rises quickly. This spike triggers insulin release, which we already know blunts growth hormone. But the story doesn't end there. After the spike comes a crash, often in the middle of the night, when blood sugar dips too low. This drop triggers the release of cortisol and adrenaline, hormones designed to bring your blood sugar back up. The problem is that these hormones are stimulating, they wake the brain, fragment sleep, and prevent you from entering or staying in deep sleep. Some people wake up sweaty or anxious around 2:00 or 3:00 a.m. without realizing this is a blood sugar rebound caused by late night sugar. Beyond sleep disruption, the repeated activation of cortisol at night chips away at muscle by promoting catabolism, the breakdown of tissue. In simple terms, sugar before bed creates a hormonal roller coaster that undermines both sleep quality and muscle protection. Another way stimulants and disruptive compounds interfere is through their effect on melatonin, the hormone that signals your body it's time to sleep. Melatonin in production rises naturally in the evening as the sun sets and darkness increases, but both caffeine and alcohol can delay melatonin release, making it harder for the brain to enter the natural rhythm of sleep. Even small amounts of alcohol, a glass of wine, a beer can suppress melatonin significantly. When melatonin is delayed, sleep onset is harder, deep sleep is reduced, and circadian rhythm alignment is weakened. Over time, this misalignment not only sabotages muscle recovery, but also weakens immune function and overall energy balance. All of these disruptions compound when combined. Imagine someone has a late dinner that includes dessert, maybe a coffee or chocolate afterward, and a drink to relax before bed. Each of these on their own is disruptive, but together they create the perfect storm. Insulin spikes and blocks growth hormone, caffeine blocks adenosine and keeps sleep light, alcohol sedates but prevents REM, and blood sugar crashes trigger cortisol during the night. The person might technically sleep 7 or 8 hours, but the architecture of that sleep is wrecked. Instead of deep restorative cycles, they spend the night in shallow, fragmented rest. The next morning, they wake up groggy, their muscles haven't fully repaired, and their motivation to train is lower. Repeat this pattern often enough, and it leads to noticeable loss of strength, slower muscle gain, and even visible muscle loss, especially as they age. It's also worth considering that these nighttime disruptions don't just harm muscle indirectly. They also affect appetite and metabolism the next day. Poor sleep alters ghrelin and leptin, the hormones that regulate hunger and satiety. When you sleep poorly due to stimulants or disruptive compounds, ghrelin increases, making you hungrier, while leptin decreases, making it harder to feel full. This combination drives cravings for more sugar and high-calorie foods the following day, creating a vicious cycle. The added calories can lead to fat gain, while the reduced recovery harms muscle. Over time, this is a double hit to body composition: less muscle, more fat. There is also a neurological angle to consider. Sleep disruption caused by stimulants alters dopamine pathways, which regulate motivation and focus. That's why after nights of drinking or eating sugar late, people not only feel physically drained but mentally less sharp. Training sessions are harder, consistency slips, and the quality of workouts declines. So even if muscle isn't directly breaking down overnight, the indirect effects of poor sleep reduce the intensity and quality of training, which further slows muscle gain. The good news is that these negative effects are avoidable with awareness and small changes. Caffeine can still be enjoyed, but keeping it earlier in the day, ideally before noon, ensures it doesn't interfere with nighttime biology. Alcohol, if consumed, should be moderate and not close to bedtime, giving the body several hours to metabolize it before sleep. Sugar should be minimized at night, especially refined desserts and drinks. Instead, choosing whole foods with a balance of protein and complex carbs can support sleep without causing insulin spikes or cortisol rebounds. A small portion of oatmeal, a banana with nut butter, or Greek yogurt can actually promote serotonin and melatonin in production, easing you into sleep rather than disrupting it. What this all comes down to is recognizing that muscle is not just built in the gym or through diet. It is preserved and strengthened by the hormonal environment created during sleep. Stimulants and disruptive compounds interfere with that environment in predictable, measurable ways. They block adenosine, delay melatonin, suppress growth hormone, increase cortisol, and reduce testosterone's effectiveness. Over time, this combination is a recipe for muscle breakdown and stalled progress. Protecting your muscle means protecting your sleep chemistry, and that requires avoiding the traps of late-night caffeine, alcohol, and sugar. By aligning your evening choices with your body's natural rhythms, you unlock the full power of sleep as a recovery tool and ensure your muscles stay strong, healthy, and resilient. The science is clear. Your muscles aren't just built in the gym, they're built and preserved during quality sleep. But the foods and drinks you consume before bed can either support that process or sabotage it completely. By avoiding sugar, alcohol, heavy meals, and late-night stimulants, you create the perfect environment for growth hormone release, deep recovery, and hormone balance. So if you're serious about protecting your hard-earned muscle, don't let your bedtime habits undo your progress. Small shifts in your evening routine can make a massive difference in how strong, lean, and energized you feel every single day.